I'm Matt Sokol, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be doing a interesting kind of topic, sell or hold, the age-old question of you guys asking me what you should sell and what you should hold is going to be answered. I'm going to go over all of the details, all the information, and all the reasoning of if you should buy, sell, or hold a shoe and why, so you can understand it totally and you can make your own plays, and so you guys can start really making more money with the money you have. First, I'm gonna kind of just do a brief run through about pricing and how it works. Then I'm gonna move on to some factors and some indicators, things that you should be looking for to determine, you know, if a shoe's a good buy, if a shoe's a good hold, if it's a good sell. And then lastly, I'm actually literally gonna go through a couple real world examples with you, show you guys play by play. That way you know 100% how to analyze the market, and when you're thinking, should I buy or sell, you can come up with the answer yourself, and you can trust yourself more than you can trust other people. So let's get into it. Also, before we start the video, I do have to say, please give it a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe to the channel. A lot more content coming soon. I'm a moderator of a cook group called Bounce Alerts, and so we provide some great information in there, and I'm in charge of business information. And so a lot of people ask me questions about just business in general, and then specifically they ask me questions about sneakers, pricing, what to buy, what to sell. As many of you guys know from one of my recent videos, I have been investing in holding Jordan 1s and other similar shoes to make more money than I would if I just bought and sold shoes for the quick flip. So after that video came out, even more people started asking me, should I hold this shoe? Should I hold this shoe? Should I sell this? It's a case by case basis. Sometimes I'm gonna come out and say, like, buy this shoe for under this price, like I did with the Smoke Rays. Other times I'm gonna allude to things. You can go research the market and you can find certain plays yourself. So one of the most important concepts to understand before we even get that deep into this is opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is potential gain from other alternatives when one alternative is chosen. Simply said, opportunity cost is how much you give up by choosing something else. For example, say I could only buy one pair of shoes because I only had a certain amount of money. There's a Jordan 13 preschool right here, and we have a Air Force One Gore-Tex khaki. If I pick the khaki, my opportunity cost is this, because this is what I'm giving up, the Jordan 13. So that's what opportunity cost means, and a lot of people I know are stuck in situations where they have to pick between one thing or the other, and this is that business term, that term that you need to know. Mark it down, write it down, do what you gotta do. Opportunity cost, that's what you need to know, because it's something that you guys have to deal with every single day, or a lot of people do. And if you have a tight financial situation and you're a reseller or a flipper or are starting a business, you need to always balance opportunity cost. You got the two shoes and you're thinking, Matt, how do I decide between the Yeezy 350 Zion and the Jordan 1 Light Smoke Gray? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. What do I do? My mom said the credit card payment is due next week. So the first thing you want to do is just look at the shoe. Like that's what I do. This isn't very analytical in nature because it's obviously your opinion, but look at the shoe and just look at it and just be like, is this a good shoe? Is it a good quality? Is it poor quality? And not only that, but just look and see how people are feeling about this. Like, there's certain shoes that you can just kind of tell there's more hype around, and not even just hype as far as like, yo, wow, that's hype. Hype as far as just people, they like the colorway and they want it. Not necessarily like hype equaling a high price point always, but just more people are talking about it, more people are interested in it. So like the Yeezy 350 Zions out are behind me. Like there was actually like a lot of interest for any of the late 350s about like, hey, yo, this is a good colorway, I want it. Try to get that vibe, because at the end of the day, this thing is totally driven by the consumer and what they want and how much they're willing to pay. So that's the first thing you want to do, is make your own opinion, yes, but then also go out and feel the market as far as what they're thinking, just simply based on the design at first. Okay, then after that, of course, I move on to StockX. Matt, why do you use StockX to kind of analyze prices? Well, StockX sells the most shoes, that's period. So StockX has the best what I like to call them, averages. And so StockX, if you didn't already know, it's pretty much used as the market price for shoes. Yes, other markets have different prices, but StockX is really that core. And when it comes down to a business dealing over a sneaker, StockX is usually the price that is referred to upon. You go on StockX and you're gonna wanna check the sales volume. Pretty much means how many pairs have been sold. The volume equals pairs sold over a certain amount of time usually. If you scroll under the item listing on StockX, you'll be able to see that there's a nice little graph with the price over time, and that you can also see the total amount of pairs sold. Note, you can actually filter this on an even more granular level by selecting a size and then scrolling back down, and it'll show you the sales history and the total amount of pairs sold, as well as the average sale for that size. Volume drives a lot of my decisions because there's so many shoes that you can buy and you can make money on, but like, you can't make money on something if there's no buyers. You really need to be educated, especially when it gets into bricks. On the mainstream drops, like most of the stuff, you know, it's gonna be moving, but on some of the bricks, like some of them just don't sell at all. And so you really need to be aware, be checking the volume, and not only seeing how long ago was the most recent sale, but look between the sales. Are they happening every 3-4 months apart? You know, like that's very slow, that's not reliable. And so the higher volume equals more reliability of the sale. And obviously it equals just more demand, more buyers in the market wanting to buy the shoe. So the first thing I do really when I'm analyzing a shoe, and this video I'm more talking about like new stuff that's coming out. It is gonna be applicable to, like I'm saying, like brick shoes and this and that. But for new shoes, it's important, even maybe like the day before it comes out, go on there, look at the prices, obviously, which are probably gonna be skewed high because the drop hasn't happened yet, which you already know. But look at the pre-drop volume. This is gonna give you an idea of how many pairs are on the market and also how much the price, you know, should drop by when the drop happens. So if there's a crazy amount of pairs, like if there's 3, 4, 5,000 pairs sold before a shoe drops, you know, all right, there's a lot of pairs already out there that have been backdoored on during the supply chain. Price isn't gonna drop as much as if, like if you go on there, some of the Yeezys, you go on and it'll be like 25 pairs. Like there's no pairs out there. Those prices are coming down heavy. But the more pairs, not always, it's not, you know, an exact science, but usually it means that the prices aren't gonna dip as much. And this is a good thing to know and to figure out. One, if you're getting pairs on a drop when you're deciding if you should hold them or sell them, and also trying to figure out the best time to buy additional pairs after a shoe comes out, because there's been many times that I bought pairs too early, like maybe the day after they came out, when really you should wait 1 to 2 weeks after the online orders get in hand. Some online restocks as well, those pairs come out, those pairs hit StockX. That's usually the best time to buy super limited stuff. Sometimes the pricing is just funky because there's not that many pairs out there, but for most of the stuff, you wait 1 to 2 to 3 weeks even after the drop, and that's kind of that optimal window, best price to buy, lowest StockX prices, usually as long as the demand still stays there. The thing about volume is it's not just about like, what's the volume today, but it's looking at the change in volume over time. So obviously a shoe comes out, right? And say you have this kind of like, graph of a product's life cycle, if you know what that looks like. And so like first it starts here, and then, you know, it has some early adopters, and so it's like coming up, and then it once more people hit it, it gets steep slope, it comes up, then it plateaus, and then eventually it declines, right? That's pretty much how it looks like with some of this stuff. So, and you want to catch it right, you know, towards the peak there. That's when you're going to get the most money, and that's a balance of supply and demand, which is what we call an equilibrium. And I know I'm throwing out a lot of different fancy ass words and whatever, but it's just because once you know these words, it's a little bit more easier to explain and describe and even understand the theory and the fundamentals of what we're talking about here. Like I'm taking this business concept and I'm applying it into the sneaker market so that we can kind of get a better grasp on it. When you're looking at volume over time, you're expecting, you know, maybe the volume to go down a little bit after the shoe comes out, because obviously no one has it when it comes out. That's when interest is the highest. But you do want to see it continue to be strong for most of these shoes, you know, like Jordan 1s, 350s, any like the more popular stuff. Like you need to see like several sales per day per size. Like for example, the Glows, you know, they're probably only moving 1 pair a week per size. on StockX. That's slow. You don't want a shoe that slow. You want stuff that moves fast. Like I'm saying, these 350, the new releases usually, but not the brick stuff. Like I got the blue reflective, like that's not moving well. That's a sell. The volume's just too low. And so even though the supply is really low and you're like, wow, there's only a little bit of pairs, there's no demand. It's still not worth anything if there's no demand. So you gotta realize that just because something's super limited doesn't mean it's super expensive. And some people just don't get that. They just think that everything that's limited resells. That is definitely not the case. It's only worth what someone is willing to pay for it. So I wanna choose a shoe that has higher volume, higher prices, a fast increasing ask. And so what that means is you go into asks. It shows you how many asks there are and at what prices. I want you to see how steep that increases and how many total that there are. If there's a crap ton of them, that means there's a lot of people willing to sell that have their stuff on the market. And if there's a lower amount of them, usually that's a better sign as far as, you know, the price increasing over time and it being a good investment shoe, because it means that there's less people that have it, less competition, and the price is gonna go up fast. And also, obviously, what indicates if the price is gonna go up is if the prices on those asks increases steep. So that's something you need to look out for. Maybe trying to go through and add up how many sales there were for the past week and try to compare that to how many asks there are and be like, hey, you know, there's only 20 asks, but in the past week there's been 80 sales. Like, even with people adding more pairs to the market on StockX, like those numbers don't add up. It's gonna dry up soon. That's an opportunity for you to come in when there's not as many shoes on the market, or even they're just higher priced, and make more money. So those are the kind of things you wanna look for. And also in your mind, if you're considering holding a shoe, like you gotta try to figure out like a time frame or a price point, or where do you think this is headed? Why? Explain why to yourself based off of the facts that you look at, and have a specific goal with that shoe. Like, I don't know, don't just buy stuff and hoard it and like there's no date or monetary goals with it, and like you just have it. Set a specific goal on the shoe. When it gets there, sell it. Otherwise, you're gonna wanna just hold. And there's a certain point where it's like, it's not worth it to hold the shoe anymore. If you've seen some of my other videos, you know I talk about the concept of value. And so value means getting the best bang for your buck, essentially. When a shoe just comes out and it's 2 to 3 weeks after it came out, when the price is the lowest on StockX, that's the best value you're gonna get. That's the best bang for your buck. And so you buy it and you're holding it, and then a new shoe comes out and you're still holding the other one. Like the new shoe, you know, not every one maybe, but usually better value because that's when it's at the cheapest. So it's a combination. It's not just, oh, I want to hold it and make money. It's a combination of determining like where you're going to get the most value and where you're going to be able to make the most money. Maybe you end up having to sell that stuff sooner and not making the full amount that you thought because there's a better value play. That's okay. Literally, that's fine. You do what you got to do. Things change over time. So have these kind of soft goals, as I like to say, of like how much you're looking to get or when you're looking to sell it. And then if you need to sell it sooner for a better play, do it. That's what you got to do. Volume, price, the total amount of ask, the volume per day is a good average to look at, and of course like just the design of the shoe as well. All right, and so now I'm gonna go on StockX and I'm gonna do a little walkthrough with you guys with the shoe. Let's do one for a shoe that I've never done before, which would be the Jordan 1 Retro High Satin Snake Chicago Women's, which just dropped on, I don't even know what day it is anymore. Dropped a couple of days ago on Saturday, I believe, or Friday. And this pair was pretty low stock. I didn't get any on the drop, which just not good. And some people got duplicates, but I would say it was relatively low stock. So I've already looked at the shoe extensively. The aesthetic, it's nice, I like it. I've heard from people that got the in-hand quality that it's just kind of average, nothing like crazy good quality. But I do know that this shoe is more of a specific looking one because of the snake pattern. And so this analysis I'm kind of walking you through right now is just what I'm thinking about the shoe before I even look at the numbers. And that is still something that you, like, I'm sorry, you shouldn't be buying shoes like if you think that they're the ugliest shoe you ever seen like, you just shouldn't do it. I don't think you should. So the retail price was 170 on it. Let's scroll to the bottom and you can see 12-month historical sales, and you can see it's only 6,546 sales. I don't really look at this average sale price here that much because it's just kind of the average of this really volatile chart, so I don't see the value of it. But 6,500 sales, right? So often what I'll do actually is I'll open another tab up and I'll go to, let's say, a Jordan 1 purple, right? Court purple. Yeah, this shoe came out April 11th, which is a while ago, so it has been on the market longer. Let's go to all. Holy crap, 31,686 sales. And this one only has 6,500. So even though the court purple's been on the market a lot longer, this still is a very, very large discrepancy of sales. So what I just did between these two was a comp or a comparable, where you look at two things that are similar but not exactly the same. So similar both being Jordan 1 highs, but not exactly the same because they're different colorways. And you kind of compare and contrast them, and you use the one that came out as an example and as a comparison for the new one. So you can try to spot trends and opportunities and certain things like that, right? So now let's say we go to, this one was in women's sizes. So, well, also that makes sense now that you think about it a little bit more with the volume problem, because for the men's, they got up to size 18, but the women's, they only have up to a size 12. And a 12 women's is only what, 10.5 men's. So that's a small size. That's the biggest size you have, a 10.5 men's. So I'd be willing to bet that that's part of the reason that the volume is off. And if you took off sizes, 11 and up of the men's ones, of the court purple, it would probably be a lot smaller. So stuff like that also you have to realize and notice and make sure you're not trying to compare two things that aren't the same. Like, if this was available in the same sizes, it would have more sales. That's just what it is. And I almost made that mistake, actually. So that's kind of a good thing that happened, because you just learned a lesson. So let's go to size 10.5. We click asks. And we see that, okay, there's a decent amount. And so we can see that these progressively go up, right? Up $3, up $1, up $2, up $1. Up $2, up $1. So we can see that most of these, there's really only one available, but some of these prices do have a couple. And we see that it's priced basically as I like to cut it. It's been undercutted. And so it's easy to see, because once you see these difference in the prices and it's just going up $1, up $2, it's just people undercut. And so that's what we're seeing. Fortunately, most of these are only one. And if we look through it to see the total, really the total amount of asks available, I'll add it up. Alright, I'm done counting, but there's like 80 to 90 pairs at size 10.5 W, which is a 9 men's, which is a lot, but honestly for Jordan 1 it's not crazy, but it is a lot considering there's only been 5,500 pairs sold total of all sizes, right? So we go to size 9 court purple, right, which would be the same size equivalent, and there is way more pairs listed. I mean, there's 8 pairs, 3 pairs, 6 pairs, 10, 5, 47 pairs at 350 alone. So that pair's been out for 4 months and there's still more pairs on the market. You can tell, okay, the supply of the snake is way less, not even close, way less. I mean, the sale of size 9, 3,500, it's almost as many total snakes ones as they sold of all the sizes combined. So I mean, that's how that little volume analysis works. And as well as just check the asks, man. Like, check the asks and see the quantity, the pricing, meaning the actual price they are, and the style. Are they all straight undercuts? Are there a lot of people matching them? Often what we'll see is like on nice even numbers. For example, in this one even, 340, you know, that's like a nice even number. 8 people match that, and then all it takes is one asshole to undercut it by $2. You got the same thing at 345, a nice kind of full sounding number, same thing. 350, same thing. 360, same thing. You'll see that every like $5 and $10 amounts, people matching and then people undercutting. I'm not gonna get in the whole undercut debate with you guys, because like, just what's the point? That's pretty much how I run through it. And the issue is that StockX has limited capacity to evaluate this stuff. Like, they have this graph pretty much, and then that's essentially it. And that is how you guys can analyze the markets and determine what shoe to buy, sell, or hold, and really make the most amount of money that you can, and do it in a smarter way instead of just guessing. You really need to look at the numbers, get into the nitty-gritty, and understand it. Hopefully you gained some valuable information from the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe to the channel for more sneaker and business content. I am Matt Sokol. Stay classy as always. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace, fam. Whoop, whoop.